Thank you, Carrie. So we get this, right? We tend to turn it in, or we ignore it altogether. That's not any improvement. And we used Al as an example, who wants to be able to do the fence just like he did it 20 years ago, and in fact is with a different result, with a slightly different result that he is still working with. Um, I don't know that that means there will be changes in the way Al does it. And as I said on Saturday, that's not ultimately the problem, right? How one chooses to relate to aging is just something to recognize as a part of likely infinite conditioning, infinite conditioning. So we recognize this. But one of the things that Lewis said that I thought was so striking is that the lightning strike, and the Buddha had a couple, and we're going to talk about them today briefly. The lightning strike is when the illusion of permanence, the illusion of safety, the illusion of separation, the illusion of you as solid, permanent, fixed, and stable is pierced. Isn't that fabulous? What a description. The lightning strike is when we finally wake up to the reality that this truth of aging, illness, death, and loss applies to us, meaning me, not to others, meaning everybody else out there. And it often comes then, as um, illusion shattering does, with some angst or distress or confusion or doubts or fears, right? Grief, including gratitude, as Greg talked about on Saturday. But this piercing of the illusion of permanence, and I thought that was both apt and pretty striking and relevant. So I want us to hang on to that. Uh, and as I say that, are there any thoughts about that? The piercing of the illusion that somehow the realities of aging, illness, death, but we're speaking specifically, loss and change, do not apply to you.
This is such a tempting topic to want to just run for the hills
Yes,
on
or bite
legs.
your way somewhere else.
Exactly. As long as I still physically can, man, I'm going somewhere else.
Yes, thank you, Marie. It's so true. Marie happens to be in fabulous shape. She's an avid cyclist. And so there's a lot of capacity in these moments to go, not me. Because,
Diana. Oh, I'm
yeah,
sorry. I'm sorry.
yes, please.
I was just going to say that not me can be so subtle because I'm doing a year to live course now, and every morning I have to, and night I repeat the five remembrances, and I've been doing it for months now, literally. And about a month ago, I don't know why, but I was in the, I have it taped on my mirror. I was standing in front of the mirror reading it to myself, and it hit me differently. It was like the light, so the lightning strike can be really subtle. And
Yes.
then to Marie's point, like I was running for the hills out, like 'cause hit me differently. I felt like I was having a hard time not crying, and then I reverted to a couple of diversion tactics I have. Like I'll start reading books that are like murder mysteries and stuff like that. Like
Solving
always
problems.
preoccupying my time, so
Yeah,
I
that's right.
couldn't. And it's like maybe this past week that I'm starting to like settle with it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very it's hard to accept, and uh it's hard to accept, I guess, on
And necessary.
and necessary. But that's the
We're
word
not
I'm looking.
going to suffer.
Yeah.
if we recognize that everything we cannot turn towards becomes the things we have to run from, and they include the essence of this human life, we're now starting to shear off our life, little moments, right? Until we're just the thing, right, that is static, uh, right? And that's not who we really are. I don't think it's easy. I agree. I don't think it's something we like. I agree. I also know, as you do, that it's something, if we cannot begin to turn towards, is going to lead to greater distress, unhappiness, dis-ease, suffering, disconnect, um, numbing, all of the other things we then must do as we stay some distance from the truth of our lives. I don't know if anybody likes the idea. I haven't quite, I do see that people can begin to soften, open, become more compassionate with the truth of it. Um, I'm still watching people walk because I'm so um, laser beamed in on that truth of that suffering, and seeing a lot of people, really. I never really noticed how many people have an altered gait because of a foot injury or an ankle injury or a knee problem or a hip problem or a back problem or right. And I'm going, wow, this is the whole of this human condition, is that eventually one of these things isn't working well. And it's not because you're old or young, it's because this is the truth of life. We all look for then a certain certainty, right? And the lightning strike, just like Lynn was talking about, is the beginning of waking up. We actually start to go, okay, no matter how many miles I bike, the reality of this is going to be in evidence, and it's good news from the Buddha's point of view. From the Buddha's point of view, and then we'll talk about why. And so, does anybody remember the story of the Buddha leaving the palace? Some of you will remember the story. Anybody? The Buddha left the palace. I think he was in his 20s, maybe even late 20s, something close to midlife, actually. He was not a young man. And when he left the palace, he confronted something that are sometimes called the four sightings. The four sightings, things I see, sometimes called the four events. Anybody know what those are? The four sightings. What did the Buddha see when
Sickness,
he saw a person who was
ill,
ill?
and you saw old people,
Old people. He
dead.
You okay, Liv?
Uh-oh.
Saw a dead person. Libby just choked on her coffee. This is how hard it is, folks, to be open. She's laughing. I shouldn't make her laugh. A dead person. That was the third sighting. Anything else? The fourth sighting. The fourth sighting was a mendicant. It was a renunciate. It was, I think, an elder, also, by the way, monk. And that elder monk didn't represent any of those other things, illness, aging, or death. The elder monk represented the capacity to awaken, often misunderstood, the capacity to awaken. And he noticed in that fourth sighting that in that monk, though the monk was elder, though he was frail, as I understand it, though he had some of the capacity, some of the very things in the first three sightings, he was not distressed. He was not in suffering. he was actually at peace. And that peace actually became something that the Buddha was struck by, which is how is it then, with all of this realities, these difficult realities, uh, that there's this mendicant who is exuding this complete peace, and that represented each of our capacity to awaken, and that led the Buddha on the path. And he ultimately left the palace, went through several years. He lived ultimately till he was almost 80, which was very, very, uh, very old, very, very old for that time. But that was the beginning of the Buddha's spiritual journey and his lightning strike. That was the Buddha's lightning strike. Just the realities of life, which he had not quite seen. He had been very protected, as it is told, and so had not seen this prior, and was quite taken and quite distressed, Lynn says, and quite distressed. Wait a minute, is this also going to be my reality? And he became very quickly aware that it was. And yet, along with that reality comes this capacity of each of us to awaken and to become free of seeking some other life, some other moment, some other body, some other year, some other age, right? And so this, I had never really heard that um, story in that way. And I thought, isn't it the truth that we all hold the capacity for being able, just moments at a time, to move from denial, resistance, shock, grief. And it isn't that all of them are also not appropriate, right? We don't go, get over it. We go, yes, this is a part of the truth of this human life. These things are not appealing as long as we don't recognize that they are also, they have the capacity to be moments in which we can continue to grow, open, to become compassionate, kinder as well in their shared reality. And so then we understand, don't we, the cost of that small moment of separation, not me or not like me. I just met my first elder help gentleman yesterday, and I had heard that he had not had a volunteer in a while. And I was a little curious about that. Like, he's a very bright man. He's interesting. He's written many, many books. He's an author. He wants someone to read his stories to him. I was very excited about that. But I also knew that there was some resistance or some rejection previously. And so I asked my support person, what happened, because he has not had a volunteer. And she said the volunteer could not tolerate the way he had to clear his throat because he is weakening now at almost 92. His throat is weakening, and he has to do a kind of gargle to clear his throat. And she couldn't tolerate it. I don't want you to take a minute. And so she quit. Now, I don't want to fault her because we've all been that person. I don't want to go into that hospital room and didn't go. I don't want to go into that funeral parlor and didn't go. I don't want to confront, just like the Buddha. We're protecting ourselves in the illusion castle, aren't we? And then life becomes nothing but something that we must now avoid. the truth of this life, we get further and further from the truth of it because we can't tolerate a gurgle. We can't tolerate the scar. We can't tolerate, and how many of us have done it? And again, I have done it, so I understand. I have a little sensitivity. I'm very audio sensitive, and every once in a while, my husband will chew in a way that I just like go, "Oh my God, just don't." Now, by the way, I know it's me, and I know it's mine, and I go, "Oh my God," I can't even be in the room. Uh, Now, this is an opportunity to wake up, which I now can. Not go, that's the problem, you're the problem, the chewer's the problem, the life is the problem, the body's the problem, because the body is vulnerable, isn't it? This life is precious and vulnerable. This life is uncertain. Time is, as we know it in this relative world, finite. And the future is never guaranteed. And we just don't like it, said Marie. But can we begin just a little bit at a time, as we're going to practice today, to turn towards that lightning bolt in a way that can be a little more tolerable? Just the small moment, maybe, of noticing the gray hairs or noticing I can't get up quite the way I used to, or right, and then counting on, I think, the reality that the lightning bolts will still come, won't they? As even as we train in small moments, the reality. Dennis's hand is an example of that. It's not usable in the way it was, and the truth is, we hope that it gets better, just like my hips, and we send all blessings and support for that to happen, and we don't know. And even when it's better, as these hips are better, what do we also know? I'm not going to get to keep them. We've already got plans for where this titanium's going to go, right? It's a joke in my family because what's the truth? No matter how good they are, the rest of the body is going to continue, right, to disintegrate. And so, what the lightning bolt reveals, I have here. We assume that we all have tomorrow, and so we don't do what we are urgently, most immediately compelled to do today. That's one of the problems. Until the thing happens, right? And that's a death, a loss, a change of some sort. And then we go, oops, wait. And we see this as good news. Can you sense that, the good news of that? That we go, wait a minute, there isn't a tomorrow. There isn't the next year. There isn't, I'm just going back to blank like I did before. And can you feel how the urgency might support us? And in what way? How might that very lightning strike be the good news? We talk about it as a negative.
Diana,
Yes.
I want to share something with you that, or everybody, that I started doing this year because of that sense of urgency. You know how when someone dies, you go to their memorial and people stand up and say, you know, what an impact they made in your life, their life, and how much they made a difference. And I thought, wow, you know, I, I'm on my way out myself. I don't know when all these people that have made a difference in my life, when they're going to be gone. I want to acknowledge them now. So I'm writing letters to anyone who's impacted my life, made a difference, family, friends, teachers, mentors, and just sharing with them what a difference they've made in my life. And I'm, you know, working on my list of sending these letters out. And it's been, I mean, when people receive this letter, they're like, oh my God, it's just amazing.
Yes.
But I'm not going to wait till people die and stand up at their funeral and and
Right.
to talk about, you know, how they've impacted me. I want to do it now.
Lovely.
Anyway, had to share that.
Lovely. This is one of the things that I think most profoundly is impacted, Siobhan, by the lightning bolt realities, is that we love more. We love bigger. We love more fearlessly. We love more boldly. We love more expressively. We just don't fall into the myth that there's time, because there isn't. We regard ourselves, I think, as well, in a kinder, softer way, because we don't have time there either, waiting for somebody else to love us, waiting for somebody else to care about us, waiting, right? We go, I better take really good care of myself, and not in an ego supportive way, but in a life supportive, life affirming way. And then we notice there are less problems, aren't there? There are just simply less problems for me, for you, uh, for each other, right? And this is all the good news. Lewis also wrote, now we're going to practice. I'm going to talk about this quickly. He wrote that the first response to the lightning bolt moments, and remember they happen in infinite ways, is often fear. The fear of being out of control, the fear that I don't have authority any longer over the body, the fear of uncertainty. What does this mean for me? And then we reflect back on what Greg read on Saturday as it relates to this wish for control by Alan Watts. And Alan said this, I'm going to say it again for those who weren't here on Saturday. The desire for security and the feeling of insecurity are the same thing. The desire for security and the feeling of insecurity, which propagates it, are the same thing. The harder we try to guarantee safety, the more anxious we become, because life refuses guarantees, doesn't it? Life says, laughs, ha ha, refuses. Aging refuses guarantees. Death refuses guarantees. And so the lightning strike reveals what was always true, is that we were never actually in control at all. Isn't it true? And we just wake up to it like, oh, if I only ride my bike enough, if I only exercise, if I eat, da da da, then I can hold this off. And it doesn't mean that it can't have some positive impact. I don't want to say that. I want to say that it will not be sufficient to avoiding it. The second response that Lewis talked about was grief. And I'm noticing that more. Lynn said something. I'm tearing more. I'm crying more. And I might be allowing more. I don't know if there's more grief, honestly. I just think that urgency for me personally is to begin to soften around the truths of this and not to be bracing against in some warrior fashion. And so the reality of grief, I think, is also revealed. And it isn't just for those who die, is it? I don't think so. I think it's for the process of dying that we are all in, isn't it? I don't think you have to wait till somebody is actually dead for grief to be real or legitimate. I think we feel it as we watch the changes occurring. The body that is not quite now, right? Maybe a way that we imagined life being that is no longer quite the way we thought it was going to be. right? The role changes that we didn't anticipate or that we did and thought we could avoid or ignore, right? Any of this certainty that we had relied upon. Um, and the reality of the identities, I think, that we have self cherished, Joko would say. The identities that we have self cherished that cannot be held up. And then we go into, I think, some grief reactions.
Do you think that's kind of what you have to do? Because I think of a time when, like just the other day, bending down to pick something up, the first thing in my head was, there will be a day I will not be able to do this.
Right.
Now, thinking about death, dying, and illness, just right, obviously thinking about it is different than actually
Experience.
truly accepting and
Uh-huh.
acknowledging.
Yes.
So is it that you just keep keep trying to bring that up, sit with it, allow it, and eventually, like Lynn said, it will hit you differently, or you will start to cry, or you'll start to feel. Because that didn't affect me that much. It was just the thought of, well, there will be a day I can't bend over to pick this up.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't affect me as if I were to just sit with that and really embody that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically my question is that's just what we have to keep doing is then keep trying to sit and embody that you will not be able to bend, you won't be able to walk
Breathe.
or
swallow.
yeah. Well, that again for me is not as terrifying as the um, losing
Movement.
capacities.
Yes.
Losing
Movement.
capacities.
So for you, movement
Yes.
is that identity
Right.
has some attachment
Right.
to that. A thought is a good beginning seed, isn't it? Just the thought. There will be a day where I can't get up. And Libby's saying, is the thought enough? No, not ultimately, if we don't translate the thought into the lived reality, right? As long as it stays only a thought, we can stay some distance. But you might like go over a chair going, I can't get there. Like, what's that going to be like? And it is our lived reality. If we can hold that, which is this is not an idea, this is a reality, and I already see it around me, and then we turn right wherever we can to where it is in evidence. Because there are things today you can't do that you could do 4 years ago, or right?
Yeah.
And it's good to reflect on those as well.
Yeah.
Not with the idea of propagating grief or distress, but here is the truth of this life. We also talked about on Saturday the fact that grief occurs because there is genuine care. There is love there. There is something we want to hold or keep. And we believe that if we can avoid changes often, right? That's the myth, that somehow we can keep that goodness. And it's not accurate. The goodness actually is something we keep opening into with change. The change, the goodness now, not back then in separation again. The third response, interbeing. We just remember we're connected to all things are connected to us, and that every moment where we can open with compassion, with a tenderness, remembering the infinite sources that support us, we can both open to the truth of our vulnerability, because it is not simply ours. It is this fact of being human and alive. Then we don't blame ourselves, and we begin to appreciate with gratitude and appreciation the reality that everything, really, infinite things, are interconnected, interdependent, interbeing, inter-are. and then we don't resist or buy into this selfhooding. It's me being well. It is not you alone being well, and it doesn't mean you haven't contributed to that well being, but it is infinite other things. And then we don't get so egoic about our capacities, which I think we can tend to do. Well, I can still blank, and so I'm going to be okay. We can go, I'm okay because infinite other things have contributed, like the farmers who make that good organic food, right? Just as one example. And so the recognition of our interbeing as a response is also essential, according to Lewis, and I agree with him. It begins to weaken the myth of self sufficiency. I loved that line. Weakens the myth of self sufficiency. And can we do that? Can we go, yes, I making the choice to eat those greens, as well as that farmer, as well as the person who helped me cook it, as well as the infinite other contributors are contributing to my current well being and self sufficiency. This
That
gets
re-
out of
that
that. Yeah.
reminds me of I there was this short documentary with Ram Dass, and he was talking about his book that he was writing before he had gotten sick, and he said that the book was going to be titled "What Can I Do for You?" And after he got sick, he said, actually, he's like, what it really is what can you do for me?
Yeah.
And it's really touching, and that kind of reminds me of that. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Isn't it? And in fact, it's happening all the time, isn't it? Both what I can do for you and what you can do for me. And the truth is, the one thing we do have some authority and agency in is what I can do for you. That is true. But not the I in it, the desire, the genuine wish, right? The thing we, and growing in that capacity, I think, from the moment we wake up and then wake up again and then wake up again. And then the fourth response, according to Lewis, and then we're going to practice, is compassion. That we can begin to soften around our identities, around our ideas of self sufficiency. The lightning strike often happens with a loss. I can't do X in the same way as I could do it before. Often we can stay in some kind, I think, of denial and avoidance until then, which is why it really comes as a lightning strike. And I think it ultimately transforms our whole heart mind to go, I too am vulnerable. I too, like you, that's one of our phrases, me just like you, are going to become ill, age, and ultimately die. And so then we have this moment as the fifth remembrance offers us in which to decide how to live with as much agency as we can. Richmond repeatedly points towards something surprising, I write. The lightning strike can become an awakening moment, not because we enjoy it or because we want it, because it reveals the essential truth of our shared humanness. Then we stop postponing our lives. Just like Siobhan was saying, we stop this idea that I have time tomorrow to be grateful, to be honest, to be loving. We stop wasting time, I think, don't we, on the things that don't really matter. And begin, I think I'm noticing more and more to appreciate the simple moments. The simple moments. Nothing, no $400 concert required, but just the beauty of sitting with a friend or sharing a meal, or reminding each other that we're going to be there and are there now. Okay, we get this idea, I think. And then I was going to reference Dogen's poem, but I'm going to put it into our practice. I don't think we need it now. So we're going to get ready to practice this with us a little bit now. Is there anything else anyone wants to say before we practice? Can we confront the truth of our lives? Its beauty, vulnerability, its losses, its interbeing, its compassion and gratitude.
I could share a very simple experience around death, which is part of those things, you know. Unfortunately, it's one of those changes. And so my wife's mother passed at 94. Wonderful. And yesterday, the cremation service called and said, "You can come and get your mother." And my wife was struck. Oh my God, I can come get my mother. And then she realized, oh, my mother's remains. I get it. Okay. She was struck. I mean, it was like, come get your mother. After, you know, for 60 plus years, if somebody called her and said, come get your mother, it had a different meaning. So even in death, there are some startling events that occur for the people who remain, and it was a good lesson.
Yes. It is our essential resistance to the realities of the moment. I remember something like this, Jim, when our dog died. And I would walk into the house and call her name as if she would be there. And I'd go, see, and then I would for a moment get quizzical. Like, where is she? And then I'd remember that she had died. And, dying is a pretty remarkable event. It is not one that you would imagine you somehow forget, but this strong desire for her to still be here like she was won. It won out. And it blew me away. It's like, this is almost psychotic, right? And it is in its way, because the wish, the holding, and the love remains. I don't want to pathologize it. And so, can we give ourselves a break then to go, yes, as old as someone was, as sick as someone was, as aging, as gurgly as someone was, this is still the reality of this precious human life, and the reality that it ends. And aging is that continuous marker that we often, now we are solidly denying, avoiding, and resisting. And we're not going to continue because it will not serve us. The consequence of it is dire. It is dire. You will not be well in the face of this human life, and you will not then be able to respond lovingly, kindly, compassionately. And let's just simply begin with you. You won't be able to offer that because you'll go get over it, because it's just the fact that I can't do what I used to do. Well, no, that too can be a lightning strike. Okay, so let's begin to get into a workable posture. Everything changes, said Suzuki Roshi. Everything changes. And he said it as the whole of the Buddhist teachings, by the way. What was the one thing he would say? Everything changes. And our natural human resistance response is a part of that. And so let's call all those to mind who have contributed to our ease, to our happiness, to our well-being. We call our family, our friends, all those we know who have grown food and made roads, and then all the awakened ones. And there are many who offered their care, their compassion, their kindness, and their wisdom to us. And may this practice then be of benefit to all beings, everywhere, without exception, omitting none. We're not going to turn now the practice itself into a project. We have to be watchful that we don't use our practice as a weightlifting regiment. We're simply going to come into the body, make contact with the reality of the metronome of the breath, ticking each in and out breath, the reality of aging. There is no way to stop the breath, to hold the breath off, or to avoid the reality that we are each given a certain number of breaths. And so then how we use the breath becomes relevant. And so we will use these breaths right here to simply awaken, recognizing the breath as the breath. The breath is life. And the breath filled then with infinite possibilities for awakening. Can we feel its preciousness right in the brevity of each breath? It comes, it goes. We can let the first lightning strike be the breath itself. Each one unique and different, and marking the reality of this human life. And so it is not only then the breath that matters, but then how we choose to live within it. We can choose present moment awareness. Just being awake, alive, and present right here, just now. We can begin then to enjoy each breath. Find a peaceful abiding with each breath. And making contact with the reality of this continuous change that is not a problem at all until we resist it. Until we interfere, we hold the breath, we navigate or manage the breath unsuccessfully. And we can always begin again just now, allowing the breath, appreciative of this human life. And resting in its very coming and birthing and changing and going. This is a beautiful way to begin coming to terms with the reality of change right here in this very breath. And we notice as we attend with friendliness and care to the breath offers us this capacity for being with the truth of the whole of this life, just this one breath. And we see that beyond the reality of change, there is this abiding capacity, and sometimes called the unchanging, ageless, birthless, and deathless, though everything else is coming and going. There is that capacity which does not go, and neither can we cling to it. We simply know the in-breath as the in-breath, the out-breath as the out-breath, and that quality of heart-mind that abides all breath. And then we notice that the other changes become a little less scary or painful or resisted. The breath and it's coming and it's going. No problem. Sensations arising and passing. No resistance. We notice some we like and some we don't like. And then even this does not become the point. It is the capacity to awaken with each moment, each sensation, each sound, each thought. And then we remember that this aging body, this vulnerable body, changing body is not a failure and is not a problem. Simply part of the ever-changing reality of being alive. And we can feel gratitude for this very body. For carrying you this far, getting you here. And then let's see if we can't expand our awareness a bit to the idea of the lightning strike. And it may not be such a big moment. It may not be a cymbal clanging moment, but it pierced the illusion of permanence. Or of separation. It tenderizes the heart. Cultivates greater empathy and compassion. See if you can recollect a moment where the truth of this ever-changing human life became real. We've already had some examples. Like me too. There's no way to avoid it. And it certainly doesn't mean failure. Maybe it's a function that has changed or a capacity that's different. Maybe the way something looks. These are moments that awaken us to the truth of impermanence, not for somebody else, somewhere else, but for ourselves. Might have been a loss, a diagnosis, an illness. This is a moment when life and your response to life changed. It's not just life changing, that's continuous. But your response, you were awakened. And the response, I think, that suggests that we're awakening is that softening, that more tender, more open, more kind and compassionate response to life and to oneself in it. There are, of course, many of these in a lifetime, but just calling to mind one. And then I'd like you to reflect on what was different then for you. What did this moment reveal for you? And we're not going to relive, we're just simply going to observe the impact. It might have been a felt sense of vulnerability, of connectedness. Maybe gratitude, a fear, a grief. Maybe a curiosity, a willingness to continue to pay attention. And I think one of the things, I'm noticing this both in my sons, I recognize that they're recognizing that I'm aging and consequently that they're aging. And I see a growing tenderness in them. And then for just a moment, I'd like you to reflect on what was it you were assuming or imagining before that lightning strike? What were you assuming or imagining before the lightning strike? That things would continue? Maybe we took certain things for granted. Maybe there's a false assumption about time, that we all have time, like Siobhan was talking about. And then we woke up. The lightning strike simply unveils the reality that we had been in some illusion regarding. It reveals the truth so that we can be then most responsive, most kind, most loving, most open to the whole truth of life. And that's not just for ourselves. We really begin to understand the truth that we are all simply that dewdrop on a single blade of grass. All of us holding the whole of the moon and the sky. All of us. All of us vulnerable. All of us wanting safety and care and love, no matter who we are. And then can we simply, for a moment, within that tenderness, allow grief? The truth of the reality of endings, of loss. And see if we can't breathe with it for just a few breaths. Loss is also part of life. And we cannot separate grief from love. In fact, it is its appropriate result. Can I simply be with, breathe with, and allow these essential truths of being alive and of this ever-changing, aging body? And then we remember that every person alive will experience all of this. They too are subject to this reality of illness, aging, death, and loss. And in this, we can begin to feel that sense of interconnectedness, interbeing. Just like me, this person will experience change and loss. Just like me, this person seeks happiness and wishes to be free from suffering. And there is a vast open space in which to rest in awareness. It is the whole of the moon and the sky. Reflected in each dewdrop on a single blade of grass. Those countless beings. All precious, And for the last moment, we will simply then allow gratitude. Gratitude for the whole of it. This human life and all that comes with it. Infinite, infinite opportunities for waking up. And in that waking up, we might notice that we're kinder. May we meet this life's lightning strikes with compassion and wisdom. May we meet our vulnerability and all beings' vulnerability with tenderness. May we meet our losses and the losses of others with compassion. May we remember our interbeing with all of life and life requiring us. And may we walk this long ramp with love and courage. And really be there with each other when the lightning strikes, as it will. May all beings be safe and be peaceful and be held in compassion. And may this practice contribute. and may it continue. Until all beings are awakened and free. I hope this idea, the lightning strike idea, can be a little helpful. And may we, try to wake up before it knocks us over, right? You try to awaken before as best you can in we call it the shallow waters, in the quiet moment. And often, though we can, it is usually not sufficient. We usually get some kind of cymbal clanging event, moment, but I want us to be prepared for them also. And the more awake we are, the more attentive, the more present, the more allowing the experiences that are here, I think the less these will be jolting for us and less piercing in our awakening. So let's use them well. And when we confront them, then I think let's be honest. I'm having a hard time with this. I'm recognizing it's going to take longer. I'm not going to get back to the way it was. It has consequences I didn't understand, and that's often the case. We do this, of course, in medicine extensively. Every operation is supposed to go well, and that's just not necessarily the truth. And sometimes we don't wake up till then to go, okay, it isn't just going to get fixed. It isn't just going to be better. I'm not just going to get back to however it was. And that doesn't mean it's broken. It just means that's the truth of this ever ticking clock of change that's happening. So, other thoughts about this? Keep in mind the book. We're going to be sticking with it by Lewis Richmond, Lewis Richmond, called Aging as a Spiritual Practice. And you don't have to buy it because we're not going to be going chapter by chapter. I'm just going to be using that book for our next few weeks. And so, with that reality, how do we live? How do we live now? Well, I know for sure today with a little more softness and with a little more kindness, because as we remember, so we remember that others feel this and know this too. Even when it looks like a bulldozer coming at you because of age and stage and speed and busyness. All of that does not protect us in any way. So it just means somebody is that asleep that they think if I could get there faster, that would be better. And we understand how this happens. Anybody have a particular lightning strike that was very apparent for you? I offered the one using my uh, sons, noticing I can see them looking at me a little bit like, ooh, so that's a little different. And by the way, I don't see that happening with judgment by them or uh, criticism. I think I continue to see their softening with it as well, which is both lovely and something I think we can also offer ourselves, even when others don't make that offer to us. We can do that for ourselves. Very important to do. No lightning strike moments.
For me, it was so I'm turning 50 and I scheduled this whole trip in a van, and my aunt is coming with me, and my aunt is 69, and she's always been like one of my very favorite people, and I was so excited. And then I started to consider, like, is this going to be the best thing for her? Sleeping in tents, going for 2 weeks, doing all of these different things. And I started just the reality of just aging. And it's not that she's not capable, but it was something that I really had to consider. And without prompting, I kind of changed the trip a little bit just to kind of take care of her. And that's just, there's some grief there a little bit, and love and fear. Really, I just felt it all together.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you woke up in some way, Courtney. What do you think that was? You went, this might not be like the best trip for her, even if she's capable.
Yeah, I think it was just, and even Lucy. So Lucy's 13 now, right? And she's coming with us. And that the best thing for her? And I think it was probably the reality of the fact that I'm getting older as well. And yeah, I think it's just how can I be of best care and as loving as I can be
Yeah.
in those ways. And I think that was part of it. Is it's like, how do I want to spend this precious time with my aunt? Do I want it to be something that's exactly what I want to do? Or is it something that I want, just what you said, like the simplicity of being together? So now we're going to go and do a really nice experience together for a week, and we're going to do 4 days being out in nature and just enjoying and being together with that. And that's really all I ever cared about anyway, was just having time with her and this one-on-one time together. And so I was able to kind of just look past that and see, what was really important.
Yeah, you were able to let go of what you thought it needed to look like for what it could look like, and with some ease, which will be, also delightful for everyone. Even if, again, she could easily do it, it's does she need to be doing it? Is that what's required for the two of you to have joy and loving time together? And of course, the answer is no. Doesn't have to look like a tent or a. And yes, I think it does often look like nature for people, right? Just that beautiful time in nature together sounds delightful. Sounds wonderful. Congratulations on turning 50A, and then B, doing it in a way that everyone can truly benefit and enjoy it. That's wonderful, including Lucy, which is wonderful. That's great. Because even dogs age, right? We get, you imagine always this is forever, and in many ways it is forever. And in the realities, the body also changes, ages, becomes ill, and dies. And these are also lightning strike moments for us. Okay, well, we're gonna go on. Um, I will send out with my notes an actual what is it? What would you call this? A online video of Lewis. They've made it free now. So Tricycle Online, Lewis did a 4-part talk, and I'll send his version of Lightning Strikes for you, so that you could listen to that also, because it is now available. He did this first. He wrote the book, I think, in 2012, and has updated it. And he was 65 at the time. So now I guess he's probably what, 76, 78, somewhere up in there. And so here we are. Let's wake up before. Let's wake up before the lightning strikes us. Why don't we say our prayer? May I be a guard for those who need protection, a guide for those on the path, a boat, a raft, a bridge for those who wish to cross the flood. May I be a lamp in the darkness, a resting place for the weary, a healing medicine for all who are sick, a vase of plenty, a tree of miracles. And for the boundless multitudes of living beings, may I bring sustenance and awakening, enduring like the earth and the sky, until all beings are freed from sorrow and all are awakened. And may this practice this very day make it so. So be it. Thank you all so much. Looking forward to seeing Jean, who's going to be arriving. I think her moving van's here today, and Courtney is going to be in town. I'm so excited this week as well. Yay to that. So some of our extended Sangha are going to be in town, which is really exciting. Can't wait to see you. Courtney, what day is your actual birthday?
July 31st.
I thought it was July. It's the actual same day as one of our friends' children, which I didn't ever realize. So, oh boy, we'll have to celebrate.
Yes.
Yes. All right, everyone, be well. The practice this week is, as often as you can, see the moment that's informing you. Don't let it be a lightning strike. Let it be the small moment informing you of the preciousness and briefness of this human life. And again, we bow to these things, don't we? We go, here's the truth of this. Can I open in some way to this? As well as to those others who are experiencing it. Because we often think somehow it's just us. And actually it's happening for everybody in every moment, isn't it? So see if you can't see. Often when people are particularly abrupt, rude, there's a lightning strike around. They're confronting the realities, and like us all, want it to be some other way. Then we can appreciate with more compassion all of our reality. All right, everyone, be well. Good to see you all. I think Greg's here Thursday, and then Saturday we will be Zoom only. by the way, and it will be somebody else. Greg. It will be Greg this Saturday on Zoom because I will be doing an all day at Pete's. So I look forward to seeing those of you who will be able to join us there. All right, everyone, be well. Blessings.